If you're a therapist who works with insurance, you know that they love to see CBT and DBT in your notes. And that can be frustrating if you don't really consider yourself a CBT or a DBT therapist. So today I want to talk to you about how I use more experiential or existential interventions in session, but translate it into CBT and DBT language so that the insurance gets their evidence-based practices. So let's say you led a client through an IFS meditation. You're helping them meet the parts of themselves with curiosity and compassion. They're seeing imagery, they're describing their experience, and that's what the bulk of the session was. How I might describe that using more CBT-based language might sound something like facilitated mindfulness-based imagery to increase awareness of internal thoughts and emotions, supporting cognitive restructuring by identifying and labeling unhelpful thought patterns. So we're using that CBT language like cognitive restructuring to describe the actual intervention that we did. Another intervention might be if you use externalization from narrative therapy, but you want to describe it in a more CBT-based way. You might say something like, supported the client in cognitive reframing of anxious thoughts by increasing distance between self-concept and maladaptive thought patterns. So that's all very CBT language, but we're actually describing the narrative externalization that you walked the client through in the session. Another example might be if you walk a client through a Gestalt empty chair exercise and you're helping them have this beautiful emotional experiential conversation with a part of themselves or with someone in their life, but we're going to pull in some more DBT language to ground that in the evidence base. So that might sound something like utilized role play to increase interpersonal effectiveness skills, rehearsing assertive communication and emotional expression. The last example I'll give for today is if you use more somatic techniques, polyvagal theory, again, those more experiential, body-based, bottom-up types theories, we can still use DBT language to ground that for our documentation. So let's say you are helping the client notice sensations in their body, doing some kind of somatic work. You can document that as facilitated mindfulness and grounding strategies to support in distress tolerance and reduce physiological arousal. So my recommendation is, even if you do not consider yourself a CBT or a DBT therapist, if you accept insurance, it is important to become familiar with the language of these theories and start looking for ways that you can translate the clinical work that you do into that language. You don't have to change how you actually practice in the session in order to write compliant notes that insurance will be happy with. Let me know if you have any questions about this.